welcome back to the Good Place Bench. I'm Kristen, and I'm joined here by Androniki. Thanks so much for sitting on this bench with me and taking some time to connect. Do you mind introducing yourself?
So hi, thank you for having me here. I'm Androniki Pappa. I'm an architect from Greece, and I'm currently doing my PhD as an early stage researcher at the Marie Curie training network that is called Tridwell, and I'm based in Lisbon. And my PhD is about neighborhood common spaces and how communities co-create, co-use and co-manage shared spaces in the city.
Very interesting. So you're at actually the perfect conference to continue exploring and researching just about that, of course, at Placemaking in Europe. It's all about collaboration and co-creation and all this kind of stuff. And you also ran a session, right? What was it about?
So yes, yesterday I co-hosted a workshop together with two other women, and we have created a participatory game in which, in my part, what I was doing is to co-create design solutions, so to have a consortium of different stakeholders that are playing roles and together co-design solutions for neighborhood spaces. And each of these solutions are, in a way, design patterns that have emerged from my PhD research on international case studies and what are, let's say, the design elements that underpin these spaces. So I'm trying to see how we can create, in a way, a library of spaces that maybe have emerged through informal or bottom-up processes, and how can these inform the architectural and placemaking practice. So this is all about, and at the same time, this can bring a dialogue between the different stakeholders to understand and co-imagine the future of the cities.
I'm very curious, how your experience the past couple days has been here, and if there was something that maybe stood out to you from the talks that you've joined or participated in that also contributes to your research a bit more specifically.
It actually has, and I'm pretty, overwhelmed in a good way in this. So much information, so many sessions, you can not even decide what to leave out. Parallel sessions running, it's been kind of crazy. It really stood out to me also, like it has to do with the workshops that I selected to do. First of all, I have been introduced to a new methodology that I haven't been using so far in my research and practice, which is the workshop. So the idea of walking, having organized tours in specific areas while discussing or exploring certain topics and being stimulated by what's happening around you. So this is something that I would definitely introduce in the future. And at the same time, like a key message that emerged even since the first day is the idea of how we, because I consider myself like a citizen moving around, because I have so far, like since 6 years, I'm changing cities and countries for studies, for work, and now for the PhD, and traveling a lot. And I haven't felt that I'm settled somewhere. And there was a comment in one of the sessions that someone said that in order to invest to community spaces and to creating placemaking processes, you also have to feel that you belong to this place. And this idea of belonging also relates a lot to my work and research and study of these spaces, and is the substance of what really makes these shared neighborhood spaces run. So this is a very key message that became much more conscious when someone said it. So that's it.
It's this sense of belonging. Of course, I understand it from your studies. It's been brought up here quite a lot. And while we're sitting on the good place bench, and when we think about a good place for me personally, a sense of belonging also comes up. I'm curious for you, if let's just say if you're a placemaker, and let's say you had no restrictions, no limitations at all, and having all this knowledge that you've gathered, how would you design a public good space? What sort of elements would you include in there? And again, just go wild with your ideas if they come to you.
This is a very tough question, actually.
I know. I put you on the spot.
Having a white canvas,
Yeah.
and all the no restrictions.
No restrictions. All the money, also all the money.
I guess I would still keep it super simple, to be honest.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be something spectacular, but I would try to insert as many uses as possible, in the sense of having some play spaces here, some food trucks or coffee, pop-up coffee, different types of furniture or different types of equipment that is not necessarily something specific and can insert this flexibility and can be in a way adopted in different ways by the users. So to generate or to trick the imagination of the users, and I think that's a key especially when we speak about public space, and the key user for me is children, and it's also the future. To have elements that can be adapted and transformed and change the use of the space, change the transparency, change what is covered and what is not covered. I guess these types of structures is something that I would love to see in public space and explore myself, like my physical experience, but as well see other people, exploring.
I'm curious your perspective on this one. Can you design a space for belonging?
I would say no, to be honest. This comes both from my architectural experience and my personal life. I think design can create some conditions that can be later inhabited or not by a group of people or by individuals, but certainly they cannot create spaces of belonging. We can help, we can give the tools, but whether a place will be a good place and an inhabited place, it really depends on the user in the end, on the lived experience. It's not a power that designers or architects have, but this is my own reflection and maybe self-judgment and, let's say, assessment of what is the role of the architect at the end of the day.
And to close off, I also want to, of course, tap into what you shared earlier about moving. You're moving a lot and going to different cities and trying to find your sense of belonging each time, I can imagine. When you reflect on all the cities you've lived in, is there one that stands out to you the most where you felt, we were talking about the good place, did you feel like it was a good place for you? Or the best place for you out of all these options? I'm curious, and if you could also share why.
Also a tough question. And I think it will be a very personal response, because the objective characteristics of a place are very disconnected from my subjective experience. So my response would be very much dependent upon the community that I have created in this space, and this cannot be my hometown or the place that I grew up, the place that I studied in my undergraduate studies, cannot be substituted in my heart.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I believe that it's the least architecture-wise or city-wise.
Compatible? Maybe?
Yeah, the least compatible with what I would imagine as a good place to be.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And
that's
so,
it.
which city would you say then is
I
the
would
most
say-
compatible?
Well, I would say that Patras, that is the city that I spent my growing up years at university, is the city that somehow has stayed with me.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your insights today. And I wish you all the best in the last hours of Placemaking Week Europe.
Thank you so much.
Of course, my pleasure.